I caught my wife kissing her girl best friend on our doorbell cam. She said, "You wouldn't understand." So I sent the clip to her mom, then booked a hotel for them. The next morning, her dad called me in tears. "Why does your best friend kiss you like that when she drops you off?" That's what I asked my wife at 1:13 in the morning, as she stood barefoot in our kitchen, her lipstick smudged and her face pale like a teenager who just got caught sneaking in. She blinked, then whispered, "You wouldn't understand." And that was the exact moment something inside me just shifted. My name's Adam. I'm 34, married for almost 5 years to a woman I thought I knew better than anyone. Her name's Riley, 32, bright, unpredictable, and the kind of person who makes every room feel like a live wire. She had this way of talking that made people lean in. And apparently, that included her best friend, Camille. Riley and Camille had been close since college. I used to think it was a good thing. When Riley was stressed, it was Camille who calmed her down. When she had exciting news, it was Camille who knew before I did. Sure, I had moments where I felt like a third wheel in my own marriage, but I always told myself I was being paranoid. Every guy has that moment where he wonders if his wife's best friend secretly resents him, but I never imagined what I'd find out. That night, Riley was supposed to be out celebrating Camille's promotion. They picked some rooftop wine bar in the city and promised to be back by midnight. She texted me at 10:30, "Don't wait up. Love you." I was halfway through a documentary when my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a motion alert from our doorbell cam. Usually, it's nothing. A raccoon, Amazon, the wind. But this time, I opened the app, and there it was. The clip began with Riley stumbling slightly on the front steps, laughing. Camille was right behind her, arms around her waist. Riley turned, said something I couldn't hear. Camille leaned in, and then, without hesitation, Riley kissed her. Not a peck, not a joke, not a drunken slip. It was long, it was intimate, and it was absolutely not something friends do. I sat there frozen, phone shaking in my hand. My first thought wasn't rage. It was clarity. Like suddenly, the past few months made sense. The random arguments, the canceled date nights, the way she flinched when I touched her shoulder while she was texting. All of it wasn't just stress or burnout. It was this. When she came inside, I watched from the hallway. She didn't notice me at first. She was humming, like nothing had happened. She walked straight into the kitchen, grabbed the burrito from the fridge, and started pouring a glass of water. I stepped forward. She turned and saw my face. "Hey," she said, voice low. "Did I wake you?" I didn't answer that. I just asked, "Why does your best friend kiss you like that when she drops you off?" The glass paused midair. A single drop of water spilled onto her wrist. She set it down without drinking. "What are you talking about?" I held up my phone, screen still glowing. Her eyes flicked to the image frozen on it. Her hand in Camille's hair, Camille's fingers on her waist. She didn't move, didn't lunge, didn't lie. She just said, "You wouldn't understand." That was all. 4 words. No panic, no excuses. Just a simple statement that cut deeper than any shouting match ever could. I walked away, into our room, locked the door, and for the next 6 hours, I didn't sleep. I watched that clip on loop. I studied every frame, every gesture, and in my mind, I replayed every conversation I'd had with Riley over the last year. There was that weekend she said she needed space and booked a solo cabin trip. She'd claimed it was for journaling and wine, but her phone had pinged nonstop. There was Camille's birthday party, where they disappeared for nearly an hour and returned laughing, cheeks red. She said they'd just gone to pick up takeout from down the block. There was the night Camille crashed on our couch and Riley insisted I sleep in the guest room, just for privacy. At the time, I told myself they were just close. That women are different about boundaries. Now I saw it differently. They weren't just close. They were careful, calculated, quiet. I didn't yell. I didn't ask follow-up questions. I didn't confront her again. Instead, I downloaded the clip, saved it 3 times, to the cloud, to a hard drive, and to a private folder. Then I made a backup, just in case. At 3:12 a.m., I stood outside on the porch, watching our dark street while the clip played one more time in my hand. She didn't even check to see if the camera was recording. She either forgot or didn't care. That's when I knew. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was something she believed she could hide in plain sight. Maybe because Camille was a woman. Maybe because she thought I'd never question it. But I was done protecting her feelings. If she believed I wouldn't understand, then maybe her mom would. And so, I sent the clip. No words, just the footage, straight to her mother's phone. Then I opened another app and started planning a hotel reservation under Riley's name. 2 queen beds, wine package, room service included. The same place she once said she wanted to do a girls' weekend. If she wanted to be with Camille, I figured I'd make it easy. I left the booking confirmation on the kitchen counter. I even left a note. Since you two seem close, I figured I'd help. Then I packed a bag, locked the front door, and drove off. Next update. Let's just say, by sunrise, I had 5 missed calls. One of them was her dad, and he was crying. By the time I checked into the hotel I'd booked for them, my phone had already buzzed 10 times. 2 from Riley, 1 from Camille, 3 from unknown numbers. The rest? All her mom. But I didn't answer. Not yet. I didn't come here to start a war. I came to finish one quietly. Let me rewind a bit. After I left the house, I checked into a hotel across town under my own name. No confrontation, no dramatic exit. I left her the keys, the house, even the dog. I knew what I was about to do would make the walls collapse, so I wanted to be far enough away that I couldn't hear the bricks hitting the ground. That morning, 7:11 a.m., I turned off Do Not Disturb and opened my messages. There was a voicemail from her dad. I played it on speaker. Adam, son, I don't know what I'm looking at. Her mother showed me the video. She's been crying since 5 a.m. Please call us back. This isn't how we raised her. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. His voice cracked, like something inside him broke. It hit me then. This wasn't just a betrayal of me. She had lied to everyone. Her family, her church group, her best friend's boyfriend. Yes, Camille had a boyfriend, Daniel, who I now planned to call next. Everyone had been played. My wife, the one who claimed she stood for honesty and transparency, had lived a double life so convincing even I bought it for 5 years. Riley finally texted at 8:02 a.m. Why would you send that to my mom? That was it. No, let's talk. No apology. Just damage control. I responded with, you said I wouldn't understand. Maybe she would. Her reply, you just outed me to my entire family. Do you have any idea what you've done? I stared at that message for a long time. Because here's the thing, I never outed her. She kissed someone on our front steps. She knew we had a camera. She said the words, you wouldn't understand. She made choices. I just stopped shielding her from the consequences. But the real blow came when I called Daniel. Daniel and Camille had been together for almost 6 years. On and off, sure. But he once told me over a beer that he thought he'd propose soon. They weren't perfect, but they were committed. His words. So when I texted him, you got a second to talk? It's about Camille, he replied in under 5 minutes. I told him everything. The video, the hotel, the silence. I didn't want to destroy Camille. I just figured he had a right to know. There was a long pause. Then Daniel said, that's not the first time. What do you mean? They've hooked up before. At least twice that I know of. Once at a music festival. Once at some beach trip. I thought it was just a phase, man. You know, college stuff. He laughed, but it was hollow. She said Riley wasn't like that anymore. Said they'd cooled off. So they were involved. Bro, they were obsessed with each other. But Riley told her it was just experimenting. Said she still wanted a husband. A future. So Camille agreed to keep things quiet. I thought it was over. I didn't respond. Because now it all made sense. The way Camille looked at Riley when she thought no one was watching. The time Riley said Camille would always be her person. The way Riley once cried after we got engaged, then blamed it on wedding stress. That wasn't wedding stress. That was guilt. Daniel didn't say much else. He just said, thanks for telling me, then hung up. 10 minutes later, Camille's name popped up on my screen. I didn't answer. Instead, I watched her voicemail roll in. She sounded calm, collected, like a lawyer trying to negotiate. Hey, I think we need to talk. Riley's freaking out. I didn't know she hadn't told you about everything. I thought you knew. I'm sorry this got messy. I never wanted to come between you two. That last part? That's what made me laugh. She'd already been between us. Physically, emotionally, secretly. Riley didn't want me to find out. Camille didn't want me to find out. But they didn't have a plan for when I did. So I made one for them. I called the hotel where I'd booked their room. Added Camille's name to the reservation. Asked the front desk to leave a welcome note. Here's what it said. She said you'd always be her backup. Enjoy the upgrade. The staff didn't ask questions. They even offered to add champagne. I declined. This wasn't a celebration. This was evidence. Then I went back to the lobby, sat down with a coffee, and waited. Waited for the dominoes to fall. I didn't have to wait long. At 10:47 a.m., Riley arrived at the hotel I booked for her and Camille. She walked into the lobby looking furious. Camille followed 2 steps behind her. I saw them from a distance. I didn't approach. I didn't speak. I just watched as Riley grabbed the envelope at the desk, opened it, and read the note. Camille looked confused. Riley's hands were shaking. Then, right there in the middle of the hotel lobby, Camille slapped Riley across the face and stormed out. Riley stood frozen. The front desk attendant asked if everything was okay. Riley said nothing. I left before she could spot me. I didn't need to see the aftermath. I'd already seen enough. But I'll tell you this. That was the moment it shifted from betrayal to something else. Because Camille wasn't just Riley's best friend. She was her lover, her confidant, her collateral damage. And I had just lit the match that burned the whole illusion down. The phone call from her mother wasn't soft. It didn't start with "How are you?" or "Let's talk." No, it started with this: "What the hell did she do, Adam?" I had never heard Mrs. Callahan's voice sound like that. Not angry, disappointed, heavy. She sounded like a woman trying to keep herself from cracking. I told her the truth. No sugarcoating. No edits. I caught her on our doorbell camera kissing Camille. She told me I wouldn't understand. That's all she said. "So I sent you the video. That's everything." There was silence. For maybe 5 seconds. Then she exhaled, long and low, like she was blowing out the last candle of whatever faith she had left in her daughter. "She always had this way of making people believe what they wanted to hear," her mom said. "Even when she was little. If she broke something, she'd blame a ghost before she ever took responsibility." "Did you know about them?" "No," she said sharply. "And don't insult me by asking again." She paused, then added, "Her father is heartbroken. He called our pastor this morning. Said he doesn't know how to look at her the same." And then, this line: "I raised a daughter, not a liar." I didn't say anything. Because truthfully, I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. But somewhere in that moment, I realized that I wasn't the only one she'd been lying to. This wasn't just a marriage problem. This was a character problem. About 3 hours later, I received a knock on the hotel door. I thought maybe it was a staff member. Instead, it was Riley's brother, Drew. Now, Drew and I were never exactly friends. He's 3 years younger, a firefighter, and the kind of guy who always acted like he was auditioning to be someone's cool uncle. But we had a history, a civil one. He looked rough, red eyes, jaw clenched. "I came here on my own," he said. "Okay," I said. "So why are you here?" He sighed. "Because Camille's brother is my friend. And he just told me everything." I stepped aside and let him in. He sat down without asking. "You know what hurts the most?" he said. I defended her. Every time my parents said she was being selfish or cold or manipulative growing up, I told them they were wrong. I told them she was just misunderstood. I stayed quiet. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Was it just Camille?" I nodded slowly. "As far as I know. But they've been hiding it for years. Camille's boyfriend knew. They even hooked up during our engagement." He covered his face with his hands. Then he asked a question I wasn't ready for. "Do you think she married you to hide it?" That one hit like a brick. Because honestly, I had asked myself the same thing. There were moments over the years where her affection felt performative. Like she was showing someone else what love was supposed to look like. Like she was trying to convince herself just as much as anyone else. Drew stood up and walked toward the window. "My mom wants to bring the family together tonight. She says she needs to talk to her face to face. Not through a phone. I think you should come." I shook my head. "I've said everything I need to say." He nodded. Didn't argue. But before he left, he turned to me and said, "She's not coming back from this, man. Not with our parents. Not with the church. Not with me." And then he walked out. Later that night, Riley texted again. "So you're turning my whole family against me now? That's your plan?" I didn't reply. She followed up. "You humiliated me. You know that, right? You could have come to me. But you went nuclear." Still nothing. Then she finally tried to call. Voicemail. This time, her tone was different. No more snark. Just panic. "Please call me back. I'm at the house." I didn't know Camille would react like that. I didn't know everything would blow up like this. "Can we please just talk before my parents come over? I'm begging you." Nope. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. Here's where things start to spiral. That evening, Riley's mom did go to the house. So did her dad. So did Drew. It was supposed to be a private conversation. But Riley left the back door open. And her next-door neighbor, Ms. Perry, a 70-year-old with absolutely no filter and even less loyalty, overheard the whole thing while watering her azaleas. According to Ms. Perry, who wasted zero time texting me a play-by-play, Riley went off the rails. She accused her mom of being emotionally manipulative, her dad of being archaic, and her brother of siding with the patriarchy. When her mom asked if she ever planned to tell me the truth, Riley said, "It wasn't a lie. It was just complicated." To which her father replied, "No, Riley, you're complicated and exhausting, and I'm tired of pretending that's noble." Apparently, that shut her up. Ms. Perry claimed you could hear a pin drop. And then, get this, her mom dropped a folder on the kitchen table. Inside, printouts of the camera footage. Stills. Screenshots. "Since you keep calling it not what it looks like, I thought you might like a few copies." Ruthless. After that, they left. And Riley? She went dark. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. An email. From Camille. Subject line, apology. The body of the email wasn't long. Just 3 sentences. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen the way it did. I genuinely thought Riley had told you years ago." I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I knew now, silence was louder. She went live. Yep. My wife. Correction, soon-to-be ex-wife. Riley stood in our living room, opened her front-facing camera, and hit go live on Instagram. I only found out because my phone exploded. I got texts from friends, from my cousin who lives 2 states away, even from a former coworker I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. All of them said the same thing. Dude, Riley is losing it online. So I tapped the link. And there she was. Hair unbrushed. Eyes red. Pacing the same floor we used to argue over takeout. Behind her, I could see the gifts I'd left on our anniversary still stacked neatly on the fireplace mantel. I guess she never moved them. She started slow. Calm. I want to address the rumors, she said. Even though there weren't rumors, just facts she didn't like. Yes, Camille and I have been close. Yes, there was a kiss. And yes, Adam saw it. But what you all don't know is that this marriage hasn't been okay for a long time. Oh, there it is. The deflection. Blame the marriage. Rewrite the timeline. She kept going. Adam never understood me. Not fully. I always felt like I had to shrink parts of myself to fit the life we built. I felt boxed in. Camille made me feel free. She paused for dramatic effect. Then this. Was it wrong? Maybe. But what's worse? Living a lie for 5 years to please everyone else. Or finally being honest with yourself, even if it's messy. That line. That's when I knew she didn't feel guilty. Not even close. She was reframing this. Spinning betrayal into self-discovery. She was trying to own the fallout by pretending it was some kind of brave awakening. And then she said something that genuinely made my blood run cold. Adam sent footage to my family without talking to me. He violated my privacy. He exposed something I wasn't ready to share. That's not love. That's punishment. I nearly laughed. I violated her privacy? She made out with her girlfriend on our porch, in front of a camera we both installed, facing a neighborhood filled with kids on scooters and retirees walking their dogs. I didn't violate anything. I documented the truth. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part came right at the end, when her voice cracked and she looked dead into the camera and said, "If anyone's watching this and thinking about sending it to Adam, don't. He's not the victim. He's the version of the story I had to create to survive." And then she ended the live. That night, I got a message from her cousin Emily. We'd always been cool. She even helped plan our rehearsal dinner. She sent one line. I loved her. I defended her. But after that, she's on her own. Turns out Riley's mom saw the live stream, too. Her brother. Her church friends. Even a few co-workers who followed her account. And the reactions? Nuclear. Her mom reportedly called her and said, "I buried your secrets because I thought they were just missteps. Now I realize they were your strategy." Her dad? He blocked her number. Her brother texted me, not her. "You okay?" That's how far she'd fallen. Her own family thought I was the one who needed to check in. Meanwhile, Camille? Gone. Deleted Instagram. Logged out of group chats. Muted everyone except, apparently, Daniel, her now ex-boyfriend, who sent me this screenshot 2 hours after the live stream. It was a message from Camille. I didn't sign up to be the excuse. She told me she was going to come clean. Not this. Daniel just sent a thumbs up. Then added, "You were right. She used everyone." Now here's where things get really twisted. 2 days later, Riley showed up to my hotel. No warning. No text. Nothing. She knocked on the door around 7:45 p.m. I looked through the peephole, saw her standing there with makeup smeared under her eyes and a manila envelope in her hand. I opened the door, but didn't step aside. "What do you want?" She didn't speak for a second. Just held up the envelope. "Divorce papers," she said. I blinked. "You're serving me?" "I just thought it'd be easier this way, before lawyers get involved." That was rich. This whole thing started because she thought I wouldn't understand. And now she was trying to claim the moral high ground by handing me documents like a peace offering? Still, I took them. "Thanks," I said. "One less thing for my attorney to file." That's when she asked, softly, "Do you hate me?" I studied her for a long moment. This broken, cornered version of her wasn't the woman I married. But it wasn't someone new either. It was the real Riley. Unmasked, uncomfortable, and unable to lie anymore. "No," I finally said. "I don't hate you." I paused. "But I also don't trust you. And that's worse." She flinched. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You never loved me. You loved the version of me that lied to you." Then she turned and walked away. Later that night, I signed the papers. Quietly. Deliberately. No rage. No tears. Just clarity. And that manila envelope? It's sitting on the nightstand next to me. Not because I'm sentimental. Because I want to remember the exact moment I stopped confusing chaos for passion. 3 days after the live stream imploded her reputation, and 2 days after she tried to hand me divorce papers like a peace treaty, Riley's mother called me again. But this time, she wasn't just upset. She was angry. "Adam, you need to know what she's doing." Apparently, Riley had driven straight to her parents' house after dropping off the papers. No call. No warning. She just walked in and said she was ready to move on. And her mom, God bless that woman. Called her bluff immediately. Move on? From what? From the truth? From the family you lied to for 5 years. Riley didn't take it well. She pulled out a different script this time. Victimhood. She told them she felt attacked, that she'd been forced to choose between authenticity and survival. And then, get this, she tried to reframe everything as an emotional awakening. Maybe I married Adam because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, she told them. But I've grown, and now I know who I am. Her dad didn't say a word. He just stood up, walked out of the room, and slammed the study door behind him. Her mom told me she heard him crying through the walls. Then came the kicker. Riley's new plan wasn't just to leave quietly or own her mess. It was to spin it. She told her mom she wanted to release a statement. Yes, a statement. On social media to clarify that the narrative had gotten away from her. She said she was going to write that I knew about her sexuality from the start, that our marriage was partly open, and that what happened with Camille was not cheating. Her mom looked her dead in the eye and said, "If you post that, I will publicly correct you, and your father will never speak to you again." That's when Riley pulled her last move. "If you stay on my side, we'll pretend this never happened. I'll make it right." But here's the thing, her family was her side, and she'd already burned that bridge. Meanwhile, I was dealing with a different kind of fallout. One of Riley's former coworkers reached out to me, Jenna, from her old marketing agency. She messaged me this. "Hey, I know this is random, but I just wanted to say I saw everything. And I owe you an apology. I should have said something years ago." I replied, "Said something about what?" She responded with a screenshot. An old group text. In it, Riley joked. Camille said she'd make a better wife than Adam. I told her, "Wait your turn, LOL." There were emojis. There was laughter. There were hearts. Jenna explained that Riley and Camille had been more than friends for a while, and everyone in the office knew. But Riley always framed it like a phase or an experiment. Jenna thought I was in on it. I wasn't. She apologized. Said she felt sick about it. I told her not to worry, but I appreciated her telling me. Another piece of the puzzle slid into place. Riley hadn't just been unfaithful. She'd been building a life on lies, joking about it behind my back, acting like she could do both. Marriage and secrets. Husband and girlfriend. At this point, I was ready to file. I called my attorney. Told him I wanted everything reviewed. We'd kept a joint savings account and a shared lease on the house, but nothing else. No kids. No assets she could bury me with. I wanted to be clean, fast, and quiet. My attorney looked through the account logs. That's when we found it. A $3,000 transfer made 2 weeks before the footage. To Camille. Labeled, business grant. But Riley doesn't run a business. And Camille? She works in digital design. No LLC. No registered business ID. Just a cash deposit. When I confronted her over text, she replied, "You're seriously going through my bank records now?" No denial. No explanation. Just outrage that she got caught. So I sent one more message. "You know what the difference is between Camille and me? I gave you a future. She gave you a secret." Then I blocked her number. Her mom called me that night. Again. She told me you found the transfer. I'm sorry. I didn't know. None of us did. I asked her what she planned to do. She said, "We're cutting contact." Drew already blocked her. Her father doesn't want her back in the house. And I'm tired of being a rug for her to sweep lies under. And then she added, "She'll learn. Maybe not now, but one day, when she's alone enough, long enough, she'll learn." Later that night, I got one last message. It was from an unknown number. A screenshot. Riley had indeed drafted her statement. It was in her notes app, ready to be posted. But the caption wasn't about growth or accountability. It was titled, "My Side of the Story." Underneath it, a lie for every year we were married. She never posted it. I think she knew. If she did, there'd be nothing left of the bridge between her and anyone. The divorce was finalized exactly 31 days after Riley handed me that manila envelope in the hotel hallway. No fanfare. No courtroom drama. Just 2 signatures, a notary, and a lawyer with zero interest in small talk. I walked out of the office alone, holding the final stamped copy in my hands. Just me. Free. But Riley? She walked out with something else. Nothing. No home. No family. No Camille. Let me explain. After the whole My Side of the Story, Notes app disaster almost went public, Riley went quiet. No live streams. No tweets. Not even cryptic Instagram quotes about healing and growth. Just gone. I thought, for a while, that maybe she'd finally figured it out, that you can't always spin betrayal into a TED Talk. But then Drew, her brother, called me one night. "You hear about Camille?" "No. What happened?" "She moved. Out of state. Changed her number. Left Riley behind." Turns out Camille had been planning her own exit ever since Riley blew up their affair in public. She never wanted to be the homewrecker. She never wanted to be the fallback plan. And she sure as hell didn't want to be Riley's second choice after the fire got too big to contain. According to Daniel, her ex-boyfriend, who I now occasionally exchange dry texts with, Camille said this. She only wanted me when the house was on fire. I'm not her fire escape. That line stuck with me. Because it was true. Camille wasn't Riley's partner. She was Riley's hiding spot. Until it all went wrong. With Camille gone and her family refusing contact, Riley tried to cling to what little she had left. She reached out to old friends, former co-workers, even church friends who once looked up to her as some Pinterest-perfect woman with a golden marriage. One by one, they ghosted her. Not because they were cruel, but because she had made them complicit. Every birthday post, every "I love my husband so much" caption, every group photo with Camille smiling in the corner, it all looked different now. She wasn't just a cheater. She was a liar with a good camera angle. Then came the final blow. I got a call from the leasing office where we had rented our house. The lease was expiring soon, and they were sending reminders. But here's the thing. I had already moved out months ago. The lease had been extended under Riley's name. Or so I thought. Turns out, she never filed the extension. She missed the deadline. And they weren't renewing. She had 14 days to vacate. She sent me a single message. They're kicking me out. I don't know where to go. I left it on read. Not because I wanted her homeless, but because the woman who once told me, "You wouldn't understand," now had to understand something real. Consequences don't always scream. Sometimes they just show up quietly and start packing your life into boxes. A week later, I passed our old place. I don't know what possessed me to drive by. Maybe closure. Maybe curiosity. Maybe I just wanted to see if she'd taken the wind chimes down. She hadn't. But the lights were off. And the for lease sign was up. The porch looked exactly the same, except for one thing. On the welcome mat, where we used to keep a spare key, there was a note. Folded. Damp from the rain. I got out. Picked it up. Inside. Just one sentence. Handwritten. I thought I knew who I was. I was wrong. No signature. No return address. Just that. I didn't keep it. I put it back where I found it. Let the wind take it, maybe. It's been a few months now. I've moved into a new place. Smaller. Quieter. More me. I got a dog. Not the one we had together. She took him. And honestly, that's fine. He was always more attached to her. Sometimes people ask if I'm angry. I'm not. Not anymore. Because anger means you're still carrying it. And I left mine at that hotel door with her manila envelope. What I feel now. Clarity. Peace. Not the kind that comes from resolution, but the kind that comes from removal. Final thought. Someone asked me recently, if you could say one last thing to her, what would it be? Here's my answer. You were right. I didn't understand. But now, I don't need to. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.